The Christmas tree lights blinked mockingly at me as I sat alone at my dining room table, staring at the empty chair where my son should have been. The turkey I'd spent hours preparing had gone cold, and the bottle of wine he'd given me last Christmas remained unopened. My phone lay silent, though I'd checked it 100 times since morning. I'm Zaylee, and this is the story of how I lost my son to wealth, then found a way to bring him back, though not in the way anyone could have expected. He's probably just running late, I muttered to myself, knowing full well it was a lie. Randolph hadn't been running late for the past 8 months. He'd been running away. The sound of my fork scraping against the empty plate echoed through the house. I remembered how, just a year ago, this room had been filled with laughter. Randolph and his best friend Theo sprawled on the couch, arguing about video games while I prepared dinner. Now even Theo couldn't get through to him. My phone buzzed, my heart leaped, but it was just Sergio from work. "Merry Christmas, Z. How's dinner with Randolph?" I stared at the message, my throat tight. Before I could respond, another text came through. "He didn't show, did he?" I typed back, "No," again. The phone rang immediately. Sergio's warm voice filled my ear. "I'm coming over. Nobody should be alone on Christmas." "Don't be silly," I said, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. "You have your family waiting. I'm fine, really." "You're not fine, Z. This isn't right." "He's 24, I said, the words bitter in my mouth. "He's allowed to make his own choices, even if those choices involve ghosting his mother for some trust fund princess." I winced. Emily Knight, the girlfriend who'd swept into Randolph's life like a hurricane in designer clothes, leaving nothing but destruction in her wake. Since meeting her at that charity gala, my son had transformed from the warm, grounded young man I'd raised into someone I barely recognized. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was him. "Hey, Mom." Randolph's voice was distant, artificial. I could hear classical music and tinkling glasses in the background. "Sorry about dinner. Emily's family had this thing at the country club, and it's Christmas, Randolph." I cut in, my voice shakier than I intended. "We always spend Christmas together. Mom, you need to understand. Things are different now. Emily's family, they're different. Better, actually. They know people, important people. They can help me build connections, create opportunities." "Better?" The word felt like a slap. "Better than what exactly?" There was a pause. Then, "You know what I mean. Look, I've got to go. Emily's mother is about to give a toast." "Randolph, wait. I'll call you later, okay? Maybe we can do lunch sometime next week, if I'm not too busy with the Knight Foundation stuff." The line went dead. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the silence. Through my window, I could see my neighbors' houses, lit up with Christmas decorations, families moving behind warm windows, together and whole. The doorbell rang, startling me. I opened it to find Theo standing there, snow dusting his shoulders, holding a wrapped package. "Thought I'd drop off his Christmas present," he said, stepping inside. "Though I'm guessing he's not here." I shook my head. "The Knights again." Theo's face darkened. "You know, I tried to talk to him at work yesterday. He acted like we'd never been friends, like the last 20 years meant nothing." "He's changed," I whispered. "No," Theo said firmly. "He's lost. There's a difference." He placed the package on the table. "Want to know what I got him? That old Nintendo game we used to play in your basement. Thought it might remind him of who he really is." I touched the wrapped package, remembering the sounds of teenage boys laughing, the smell of microwave popcorn, the feeling of family that had nothing to do with country clubs or foundations. "He said they're better," I admitted, the words burning my throat. "Better than us." Theo's expression softened. "Then he's an idiot, and someday he's going to realize that." "I hope you're right." After Theo left, I stood in my kitchen, looking at the family photos on my refrigerator. Randolph's graduation, his first job, the day we moved him into his apartment. In every picture, he was smiling. Real smiles, not the practiced one he wore now. At night family functions. I picked up my phone and deleted the draft message I'd been composing all day. Merry Christmas, sweetheart, I miss you. Instead, I opened my work email and clicked on a folder marked Knight Foundation, Confidential. There, buried in legal documents and trust agreements, lay a truth that could change everything. A truth about karma, about consequences, and about the real meaning of better. I just had to decide what to do with it. As we reach this moment in our tale, we're curious. Which country or city are you watching from today? Share with us in the comments. Now back to what happened next. 3 days after Christmas, I sat in my office, staring at Milton's last letter to me. The paper had grown worn from repeated handling, but his elegant handwriting remained clear. My dear Zaylee, when the time comes, you'll know exactly what to do with this trust. You always understood what real wealth means. Still obsessing over that letter? Sergio appeared in my doorway, 2 coffee cups in hand. Just thinking about Milton, I said, accepting the coffee. He'd be heartbroken to see what's happening with his family now. Sergio settled into the chair across from my desk. You mean how his granddaughter is systematically destroying your son's personality? Among other things, I pulled up the trust documents on my computer screen. Did you know Milton never told his family about my role? Even Tabitha doesn't know I'm the executor. That crafty old man, Sergio chuckled, always playing the long game. My phone buzzed with a text from Randolph. Rain check on lunch. Emily's planning a charity gala. Need to focus on that. Sergio caught my expression. Another cancellation? He doesn't even bother making excuses anymore. I turned the screen to show him. But here's the irony, that charity gala. It's being funded through the trust I manage. Does Emily know that? Nobody knows except you and the lawyers. I leaned back, remembering my last conversation with Milton before he passed away. You're the only one who sees people for who they really are, Zaylee. He'd told me, his voice weak but determined. Not for their bank accounts or social connections. That's why I'm trusting you with this. The intercom buzzed, interrupting my thoughts. Ms. Warren, Tabitha Knight is here to see you. I exchanged alarmed looks with Sergio. Send her in. Tabitha swept into my office like a perfumed hurricane, designer heels clicking against the floor. Zaylee, darling, I hope I'm not interrupting. Not at all, I lied, as Sergio excused himself with a meaningful look. What brings you here? Oh, I was just passing by and thought I'd check in on my future mother-in-law. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Emily tells me Randolph is absolutely thriving at our country club events. I kept my face neutral. Is he? Oh yes, though, she paused dramatically. He seems a bit reluctant to discuss his background. Emily mentioned something about a public school education. He attended Lincoln High, I said proudly. Graduated top of his class. How quaint. Tabitha's perfectly lined lips twitched. Well, we're working on polishing those rough edges. Emily's quite good at that sort of thing. My hand tightened around Milton's letter. Randolph doesn't need polishing, Tabitha. He needs to focus on his future, she cut in smoothly. Speaking of which, I was wondering if you might have any insight into dear Papa Milton's foundation arrangements. We've been trying to access certain documents, but the lawyers are being terribly difficult. Ah, there it was. I'm afraid I can't help, I said. I only handled some minor consulting work for Milton. Really? Tabitha's eyes narrowed. That's not what the foundation's accountant implied. Perhaps you should speak with the lawyers directly. She stood, smoothing her skirt. Perhaps I should. It's just, well, Emily's quite set on this engagement, but these things can be so delicate. It would be a shame if any complications arose. The threat hung in the air like expensive perfume. After she left, Sergio reappeared. Well, that was subtle as a sledgehammer. I pulled up Emily and Randolph's engagement announcement on my computer, a glossy photo of them beaming at the camera, his smile as artificial as her diamonds. Milton knew, I said quietly. He knew exactly what would happen when he made me executor instead of Tabitha. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I opened the trust documents again, scanning the crucial clause. Full discretionary powers over all distributions, including the right to withhold funds based on moral and ethical considerations. I'm going to do what Milton wanted, I said. Teach them all what real wealth means. My phone buzzed again, a social media notification. Emily had posted a photo of herself and Randolph at some charity lunch, captioned, "With my love planning the biggest gala the Knight Foundation has ever seen." I clicked through to the comments. There was Theo. "Remember when you used to say fancy parties were for pretentious snobs?" Randolph's reply made my heart sink. "People grow up, man. Maybe you should try it." I closed the browser and pulled up my email. With trembling fingers, I began composing a message to the foundation's lawyers. Regarding the upcoming gala funding request, I need to schedule a meeting with Emily Knight to discuss certain conditions. Sergio read over my shoulder. "You sure about this?" I thought about Randolph's empty chair at Christmas, about Tabitha's thinly veiled threats, about Milton's faith in me. Yes, it's time they learned that some things can't be bought, and some people can't be polished away. And Randolph? I touched the screen where my son's artificial smile gleamed. Sometimes love means letting someone hit rock bottom so they can remember how to climb. The Knight family's winter charity gala buzzed with artificial warmth as I slipped in through a side entrance. Nobody recognized me. I'd traded my usual business attire for a designer dress that cost 3 months' salary. Sometimes blending in means standing out. "Champagne, madam?" A server offered me a crystal flute. "Thank you." I positioned myself near a marble column, scanning the crowd until I spotted him. Randolph stood with a cluster of young socialites, his hand resting possessively on Emily's waist. He was laughing at something, but I knew that laugh. It was his networking laugh, not his real one. Quite the transformation, isn't it? I turned to find Theo beside me, looking uncomfortable in a rented tuxedo. "I didn't expect to see you here," I said. "Got an invitation. Probably Emily's idea of a joke." He nodded toward Randolph. "Watch this." Theo straightened his bow tie and walked directly toward the group. I held my breath. "Randy, man, remember that time we crashed your mom's car trying to get McDonald's at 2 a.m.? Your mom was so cool about it, just made us work it off doing yard work." The silence was immediate and crushing. Emily's perfectly plucked eyebrows arched toward her hairline. "I'm sorry," Randolph said, his voice clipped. "Do we know each other?" Theo's face fell. "Seriously? 20 years of friendship, and you're pulling this? I think you must be confused." Emily cut in smoothly. "Randolph doesn't associate with that sort of thing anymore." "That sort of thing." Theo's voice rose slightly. "You mean actual friendship, real connections, people who actually give a damn about you." "Security," Emily called out, waving delicately. "We seem to have an uninvited guest." I watched as 2 burly men in suits approached. Theo backed away, hands raised. "Don't bother," he said. "I'm leaving." "But Randy, when you remember who you are, if you ever do, don't bother calling. Some things you can't fix with Daddy's money." As Theo stormed out, I saw something flicker across Randolph's face. Pain, maybe recognition, but Emily's hand on his arm seemed to erase it instantly. "Darling," she cooed, "let's announce the Foundation's new initiative." I moved closer to the stage as Emily tapped her glass for attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, the Knight Foundation is proud to announce our biggest project yet, a complete renovation of the city's arts district." Applause rippled through the crowd. I checked my phone, where an email from the Foundation's lawyers waited. "Funding approval required for project initiation." "My fiancé and I," Emily continued, pulling Randolph forward, "will be personally overseeing this transformation. We're leaving behind the, shall we say, less refined elements and creating something truly worthy of the Knight name." "Less refined elements?" someone near me muttered. "That's where all the local artists work." And of course, Emily beamed. None of this would be possible without my dear grandfather's vision. Though he's no longer with us, his legacy lives on through the foundation. I thought of Milton, of our long conversations about supporting genuine talent, regardless of social status, of how he'd specifically written protections for local artists into the trust. Randolph took the microphone. I'm honored to be part of this family now. Looking back at my humble beginnings, I never imagined I'd find myself among such elevated company. My heart cracked. The boy who used to give his lunch money to struggling classmates was now proudly announcing plans to gentrify their neighborhoods. After the speeches, I overheard Randolph talking to a developer. The neighborhood's a bit rough now, but once we price out the current residents, we can attract a better class of people. Better class? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Randolph turned, then looked straight through me, not recognizing his own mother in my expensive disguise. Yes, he said dismissively. People who understand the value of progress. And what about the value of community? I asked. Of history. Emily appeared, wrapping herself around his arm. Darling, don't waste time explaining our vision to someone who clearly doesn't understand sophistication. They walked away, leaving me standing there with my untouched champagne. My phone buzzed, an email from Emily's assistant, requesting urgent approval for the first phase of funding. I opened my purse, touching the envelope inside that contained Milton's private letters about the foundation's true purpose, about how he'd watched his family become exactly what he'd fought against his whole life. Time to understand what real progress means, I whispered, composing a reply. Please have Ms. Knight meet with me personally to discuss the approval process. There are certain conditions that require immediate attention. Across the room, Randolph laughed his fake laugh again, surrounded by his new, better class of people. But I saw how his eyes kept drifting to the door where Theo had exited, and I knew that somewhere inside him, my son was screaming to get out. The engagement party invitation arrived in a cream-colored envelope, gold lettering catching the morning light. I traced my fingers over the embossed words, remembering how Randolph used to make fun of such pretension. My phone rang. Sergio. Did you get one too? He asked. Just opened it. Celebrating the union of two distinguished families, I read aloud, my voice bitter, as if his family isn't good enough anymore. Are you going? Before I could answer, my office door burst open. Emily swept in, perfectly coiffed and radiating irritation. Zaylee, this is becoming ridiculous, she announced, waving a stack of papers. We've submitted all the required documentation for the Arts District project 3 times now. The Foundation's lawyers keep referring us back to you. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Please, sit down. I'd rather stand. This won't take long. Actually, it will. I pulled out Milton's folder. Your grandfather had very specific requirements for foundation projects. Requirements we've met, she snapped. The budget projections. I'm not talking about money. I opened the folder. Milton insisted that any neighborhood development must preserve existing cultural spaces and provide affordable housing for displaced residents. Emily's perfect posture faltered slightly. That's not practical. It's non-negotiable. Do you know who I am? Emily's voice rose. Who my family is? I know exactly who you are, I said quietly. The question is, do you? Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression shifted from anger to something else. Fear? That's Randolph, she said. He's waiting downstairs. We're meeting the wedding planner. How nice. Give him my best. Her eyes narrowed. You know, he never talks about you anymore. It's like you don't exist. The words hit their mark, but I kept my face neutral. And you're okay with that? A man who can so easily erase his mother. He's evolved beyond his limitations. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and don't bother coming to the engagement party. We're keeping it intimate, upper echelon only. After she left, I pulled up the social media post she'd made that morning. Planning my dream wedding with my soulmate. Nightlife, South Love wins. The comments section was revealing. Didn't you get engaged to James last year? Comment deleted. Wasn't Brad your soulmate 6 months ago? User blocked. I was still scrolling when Theo burst into my office. Have you seen this? He thrust his phone at me. A video played. Emily, at a private club, draped over a man who definitely wasn't Randolph. When was this taken? Last night. My cousin works there. Theo ran a hand through his hair. I tried to show Randy, but he blocked my number. I saved the video, then opened my email. The foundation's quarterly report sat in my drafts folder, waiting for my signature. With it, Emily's entire renovation project would either live or die. What are you going to do? Theo asked. My phone rang. Randolph's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, hope fluttered in my chest. Mom. His voice was tense. Emily said you're blocking the foundation's project. There are conditions that need to be met. Cut the bureaucratic crap, he snapped. This is important to Emily, to our future. Your future? I looked at Theo's phone, still showing the damning video. Randolph, there's something you need to know. Save it. Emily told me you'd try to sabotage this, said you couldn't handle seeing me succeed beyond your, what did she call it? Limited social sphere. Each word was a knife, but I pressed on. The foundation exists to help people, not destroy communities. Right, because you're such an expert on the foundation. He laughed coldly. Just sign the papers, Mom, or I'll make sure you never work in philanthropy again. The line went dead. Theo placed a hand on my shoulder. He doesn't mean it. That's not him talking. No, I said, opening Milton's letter again. That's Emily talking, and Tabitha, and everyone else who thinks money equals worth. I picked up the engagement invitation, then slowly tore it in half. What now? Theo asked. I pulled up Emily's social media again, noting the location tags from her recent posts. A pattern emerged, the same private club, same time each week, same mystery man. Now, I said, we let karma do its work, but first, we make sure it has all the help it needs. I began typing an email to Emily. Regarding your urgent funding request, I believe we should meet. Same time next week? I hear the Oak Room at the Metropolitan Club is lovely on Thursday evenings. Theo read over my shoulder and whistled. That's the same place. Exactly. I hit send. Sometimes the best engagement gift is the truth. The Metropolitan Club's Oak Room dripped with old money and secrets. I arrived early, choosing a table with a clear view of Emily's usual spot. Right on schedule, she walked in, but not alone. I can't keep meeting like this, she was saying to the man beside her. Randolph's getting suspicious. Come on, Emmy, the man replied, his hand sliding down her back. You know I'm more fun than that trust fund puppet. I cleared my throat. Hello, Emily. She froze, color draining from her face. Zaylee, what are you doing here? I gestured to the chair across from me. We had a meeting scheduled about the foundation's funding. Her companion shifted uncomfortably. I should go. No, please stay, I said. This concerns you too, considering you're dating the foundation's future director's fiancé. Emily grabbed my arm. Outside, now. In the hallway, her carefully crafted poise cracked. You set me up. Actually, you set yourself up. I just made a dinner reservation. What do you want? Her voice trembled. Money, a position on the board. I pulled out Milton's letters. I want you to read these. Grandfather's letters. I've seen them all. Not these. I handed them over. He wrote these to me. Her hands shook as she read. My dearest Zaylee, as executor of the foundation. Her head snapped up. You're the executor? For 5 years now. But that's impossible. Mother handles Your mother handles what I allow her to handle. I took the letters back. Milton knew what was happening to his family. The obsession with status, the manipulation, the lies. You don't understand, Emily whispered. Mother she always expects you to be perfect, to marry well, to maintain the family image. I softened my voice, even if it means destroying someone else's family. Tears smeared her expensive mascara. Randolph was convenient. The foundation needs new blood, Mother said. Someone we could mold. And what about love? She laughed bitterly. Love doesn't pay for galas or keep your name in the society pages. No, I agreed. It just keeps you human. Her phone buzzed. Randolph's face lit up the screen. She stared at it, then at me. Are you going to tell him? No, I said. You are. I can't. She wiped her eyes. Mother would. Your mother doesn't control the foundation anymore. I do. I stood up. You have 24 hours to tell Randolph the truth about everything, or I'll be forced to launch an ethics investigation into the foundation's recent activities. You wouldn't. Try me. I gathered my things. Oh, and Emily. The Arts District project. It's officially on hold until further notice. Wait, she called as I reached the door. What did grandfather say about me in those letters? I turned back. He said you reminded him of himself at your age, lost, trying to please everyone except yourself. I paused. He also said you were the only one brave enough to question things, once upon a time. I left her there, mascara stained and shaking, staring at her phone. Back at my office, Sergio was waiting. Well, it's done. I sank into my chair. Now we wait. For what? For Emily to make a choice. I pulled up the foundation's main account. And for Randolph to face reality. My phone buzzed with a text from Theo. Randy just called. First time in months. He sounds different. Another buzz. Emily posting on social media. Sometimes the hardest truth is the one we tell ourselves. Changes, Jaka clarity. Then another. Randolph, we need to talk. Please come to the house. Sergio whistled. Think she'll actually tell him. She has to. I opened my drawer, pulling out an old photo of Randolph and me at his high school graduation. Sometimes hitting bottom is the only way to start climbing. My phone rang. Randolph's name flashed on the screen. Mom? His voice was small, like when he was a child waking from a nightmare. Can we talk? I gripped the phone tighter. Of course, sweetheart. Not on the phone, in person, please. I looked at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Now, yeah, I'm actually outside your office. I rushed to the window. There he was, standing in the street, looking up. No designer suit, no careful pose, just my son, needing his mother. Come up, I said softly. Sergio squeezed my shoulder as he left. Want me to stay? I shook my head. This needs to be just us. The elevator dinged, and footsteps approached. I took a deep breath, remembering Milton's words. True wealth isn't in what we own, Zaylee. It's in what we're brave enough to lose. The door opened. Randolph stood in my doorway, his expensive suit wrinkled, his hair a mess. He looked like he'd aged years in a single evening. She's been cheating on me, he said flatly. The whole time. I moved toward him, but he held up a hand. Don't, please. He paced the office. Did you know? I found out recently, yes. And the foundation? That was you all along? I nodded. He laughed, a hollow sound that broke my heart. So everyone's been lying to me. Everyone. Randolph. No, let me finish. He stopped pacing, facing me. Emily told me everything. About how Tabitha picked me out like some show dog to breed into their precious family line. About how they needed new blood for the foundation. About how they... His voice cracked. He slumped into a chair. About how they taught her to make me hate everything I came from, including you. The silence stretched between us, heavy with months of missed calls and empty chairs. You know what the worst part is? He looked up, eyes red. When Emily was telling me all this, confessing everything, you know what I felt? Relief. Relief. Because for months I've been pretending to be someone else. Someone who looks down on public schools and local artists. And he swallowed hard. And mothers who work for a living instead of organizing charity galas. My phone buzzed. Tabitha calling. I declined it. They're in complete meltdown mode, Randolph said. Tabitha's threatening lawsuits. Emily's locked herself in her room. And the foundation board is having an emergency meeting tomorrow. Let them meet, I said, pulling out Milton's letters. I have everything they need to see right here. Mom. He stood up suddenly. I need to show you something. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos until he found one. Him and Emily at a gala, both smiling perfectly. Look at my eyes in this picture, he said. I looked. They were empty. Now look at this. He scrolled to an old photo, him and me at his college graduation, both laughing at some forgotten joke. His eyes sparkled with real joy. I forgot who I was, he whispered. I forgot what happiness actually looks like. My phone buzzed again. Emily this time. Please, my mother's going crazy. We need to talk. You don't have to deal with them anymore, I said. Actually, I do. He straightened up, and for the first time in months, I saw my real son emerging. I need to face them, all of them. But first, he walked to my desk, picked up a pen, and wrote something on a piece of paper. What's that? I asked. My resignation from the Knight Foundation board. He handed it to me. I think it's time the foundation remembered what it was meant for. What Milton wanted. And Emily. He paused. She's as trapped as I was, maybe more. But I can't help her until I help myself. The office door opened. Theo stood there, slightly out of breath. Sorry, he said. Security called. Said there might be trouble. Behind him, we could hear Tabitha's voice getting closer, shrill with anger. Randolph squared his shoulders. I need to handle this. We'll handle it together, I said. He looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time in months. I don't deserve that, after how I treated you. You're my son, I said simply. That never changed. Tabitha burst in, designer heels clicking like weapons. How dare you, both of you? Do you have any idea what you've done to my family? Your family, Randolph's voice was steady. The one you tried to buy me into, or the one you tried to make me forget? Don't be dramatic, Tabitha snapped. We gave you everything. No, he said quietly. You took everything. My identity, my friendships, my relationship with my mother. But you know what? He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. I'm taking it all back. The foundation, Tabitha began, is in exactly the right hands. He cut in, nodding toward me. Milton knew what he was doing. Tabitha turned to me, her perfect mask cracking. You planned this, all of it. Actually, I said, you did. The moment you taught your daughter that love and worth could be bought. She raised her hand, but Randolph caught it before she could strike me. Leave, he said firmly. Now. After she stormed out, Theo cleared his throat. So, anyone up for late-night McDonald's? For old time's sake? Randolph looked at me, then at his oldest friend. Yeah, he said softly. I'd like that. As we left the office, my phone buzzed one last time. Emily, I'm sorry for everything. Tell Randolph. Tell him I hope he finds his way back to himself. I showed Randolph the message. Maybe, he said, she'll find her way too. We stepped into the elevator, mother, son, and best friend, heading toward greasy fries and real conversations. Toward healing. Toward home. 1 month after the confrontation in my office, I sat across from Randolph at our old favorite diner. He was stirring his coffee, wearing a plain sweater instead of his usual designer suits. The Arts District Committee wants to meet with you, I said, sliding a folder across the table. They have some ideas about preserving the local galleries. I'd like that. He opened the folder, then paused. Is it weird that I miss working with the foundation? You can still be involved, I said. Just differently now. The bell above the door chimed. Emily walked in, looking almost unrecognizable in jeans and a simple blouse. She spotted us and hesitated. I can leave, she said. Sit, Randolph said quietly. We need to talk anyway. She slid into the booth beside me, hands fidgeting with a paper napkin. I filed the paperwork yesterday. The engagement's officially canceled. Good, Randolph said, then softer. How are you holding up? Mother's not speaking to me. Emily attempted a smile. Actually, no one in the family is. Except, she turned to me. Grandfather knew, didn't he, about all of it? I pulled out Milton's final letter. He wrote this the day before he died. I think you should read it. Emily's hands shook as she unfolded the paper. My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, you've finally found the courage I always knew you had. Remember when you were 7 and you gave your birthday money to the homeless man outside our church? Your mother was furious. But that's who you really are, someone who sees beyond the surface. Don't let them polish that away. Love, Grandfather. Tears splashed onto the paper. I forgot about that, she whispered. I forgot so much. We all did, Randolph said. But we can remember now. The waitress arrived with more coffee. You kids okay? Getting there, I said. Emily wiped her eyes. I have something to tell you both. I'm moving out of the mansion. Got a job teaching art at the community center. Teaching art? Randolph looked surprised. I didn't know you. I used to paint. Before Mother decided it wasn't appropriate for a night, she pulled out her phone, showing us a photo of a vibrant abstract canvas. Started again last week. It's beautiful, I said. The community center's in the arts district, she added quietly. The one we almost destroyed. Randolph reached across the table, squeezing her hand briefly. Maybe that's where you were meant to be all along. My phone buzzed. Sergio. Board meeting in an hour. The vultures are circling. The foundation board's meeting today, I said. They're voting on the new direction. Mother's probably lined up her supporters, Emily said. Probably, I agreed. But they forgot one thing. What's that? Milton left controlling interest to the executor. I smiled. Me. Randolph laughed. His real laugh, the one I'd missed for so long. Karma's not just a punishment, is it? Sometimes it's a rescue. Speaking of rescue, Emily said, I heard something interesting about Mother's private accounts. She pulled out a USB drive. Found this in Grandfather's study. Thought you might want to see it before the board meeting. I plugged it into my laptop. Documents filled the screen. Evidence of years of financial manipulation. She's been skimming from the foundation, Emily said, using charity events to funnel money into private accounts. That's why she was so desperate to maintain control, Randolph realized. And why she needed you, I added, a fresh face to take over while she covered her tracks. Emily stood up. I should go. My art class starts in an hour. Emily, Randolph called as she turned to leave. Thank you for telling the truth. She nodded, then looked at me. Zaylee, the foundation, use it well, like Grandfather wanted. After she left, Randolph moved to my side of the booth. Need backup at the board meeting? You sure you're ready for that? Mom, he said. I'm ready to be myself again, whatever that means. We drove to the foundation building together. In the lobby, Theo was waiting. Heard there might be fireworks, he grinned. Thought you could use a witness. Randolph hugged him. Missed you, man. Prove it. Mario Kart marathon this weekend? You're on. The elevator dinged. Tabitha stood inside, her smile brittle when she saw us. Coming up? She asked sweetly. Actually, I said, holding up the USB drive. We all are. As we rode up in tense silence, I thought about Milton's words about karma, how it wasn't just about punishment, but about restoration, about finding your way back to who you really are. The boardroom doors loomed ahead. Randolph squeezed my hand. Ready? He asked. I looked at my son, really looked at him. The artificial polish was gone, replaced by something real and warm and familiar. Ready, I said, and pushed open the doors. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fresh paint and coffee as I walked through the renovated arts district. Not Emily and Tabitha's version of renovation. No luxury boutiques or overpriced cafes. Instead, local artists had transformed the old buildings with vibrant murals, and the galleries remained exactly where they belonged. Mom, Randolph waved from the entrance of the community center. You're just in time. Inside, Emily stood before a group of young artists, teaching them brush techniques. Her own paintings lined the walls, raw, honest works that would have horrified Tabitha. The foundation's grant came through, she said, wiping paint from her hands. We can expand the free classes next month. That's not all, Randolph added. Show her the letter. Emily pulled out an envelope bearing an official letterhead. The State Arts Council wants to partner with us. They're calling it a model program for community preservation. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Tabitha. After the board meeting exposed her embezzlement, she'd fled to Europe. Last I heard, she was living in a modest apartment in Madrid. All her accounts frozen. The gallery opening starts in an hour, Randolph said. But first, there's something you need to see. He led me to a small room at the back of the center. Inside, dozens of photographs covered the walls. Not polished society portraits, but real moments. Theo and Randolph playing video games. Emily teaching art to homeless youth. Me, caught mid-laugh at the diner. It's called Coming Home, Emily explained. A documentary project about finding your way back to yourself. In the center of the display hung Milton's last letter, now framed. Below it sat a simple plaque. In honor of those who teach us that real wealth lives in the heart. There's one more thing, Randolph said. The foundation board approved it this morning. He handed me a document. The Milton Knight Community Arts Initiative, it read. And below that, Director of Operations, Randolph Warren. You're staying? I asked. Someone needs to make sure the foundation remembers its purpose, he said. Besides, I like who I am here. The door opened, and Theo burst in, carrying a stack of flyers. Galleries packed already. Even that critic from the Times showed up. Did you tell them about the surprise? Emily asked. What surprise? I looked between them. Randolph grinned. Follow me. We walked to the main gallery space. There, on the central wall, hung a massive collaborative piece. Local artists had each contributed a section, creating a patchwork of styles and stories. The plaque beside it read, Community, a portrait of real wealth. Look closer, Emily said. In the center, worked seamlessly into the design, was a portrait of Milton, his kind eyes watching over the space he'd helped preserve. He would have loved this, I whispered. He does love it, Randolph said. Through us. The gallery doors opened, and people began streaming in. Not society figures in designer clothes, but real people from the neighborhood. Artists, students, families. Among them, I spotted Sergio, beaming with pride. Remember what you told me? Randolph asked. That night in your office. I told you a lot of things that night. You said karma isn't just punishment, it's restoration. He looked around the gallery, at the community we'd helped preserve. You were right. Emily approached, holding 3 coffee cups from the local shop next door, the one we'd saved from displacement. To Milton, she said, raising her cup. To restoration, Randolph added. To real wealth, I finished. As we stood there, watching the gallery fill with life and color and honest joy, I thought about that lonely Christmas dinner that felt like a lifetime ago, about empty chairs and artificial smiles, and the hollow echo of what we thought was success. My phone buzzed one last time, a message from an unknown European number. You were right. About everything. I showed it to Randolph and Emily. Think she'll find her way back? Emily asked. Everyone can, Randolph said, if they're brave enough to try. Outside, the autumn sun painted the arts district in warm gold. Through the gallery windows, I could see the community Milton had loved so much. Still thriving, still creating, still real. Inside, my son stood tall and genuine, no longer hidden behind a polished facade. Mom? Randolph touched my arm. The critic wants to talk to the foundation director. That's you now, I reminded him. He smiled, his real smile, the one that reached his eyes. Maybe, but I learned from the best. As he walked away to greet the critic, Emily squeezed my hand. Thank you, she said simply, for showing us what wealth really means. I watched them both move through the gallery, my son and the woman who'd almost been my daughter-in-law, now finding their own paths, their own truth, their own way home. Sometimes karma doesn't just restore what was lost. Sometimes it helps you build something better, something real.